Hello and welcome, Missouri Aquarium Society. My name is Jake Harris, and tonight on tonight's Know Your Speaker, we have Heather Burke joining us. She is going to be speaking with us next Thursday, this coming Thursday, same time, 7:30, same place, this channel, and she's going to be talking to us about danio husbandry and breeding. I cannot wait. I love danios, and so I am going to be paying extra close attention to this talk. But we will get into her accolades then. Without further ado, Heather, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, good to have you. So Heather, how did you get started in fish keeping?
Yeah. So before we went live, we were almost going to talk about this in depth,
Okay.
but we were
Yep.
sort of chatting. But yeah, no. For those of you who don't know me, I am an avid aquarist. I've kept fish since I was about 13 years old. It all started kind of in a con. It was like my sister um, and I were in the grocery store looking at walking by fish like we always did while our parents were shopping. And I'd always liked animals. And the thought occurred to me, what if I bought a goldfish today? We had a bowl at home. We've had them in the past. Like we always kept them in bowls. And just like, what if we just brought one home today? And I was terrible with money. My little sister always had allowance. And so I kind of was like, hey, want to get me this gold? Want to get you this goldfish?
I
and
feel like I've heard the story from a different person about someone who conned their sibling into getting them a fish. I feel like you're not the first fish keeper that's done
it
this.
might have been me. I don't know if maybe I've told this story somewhere
Oh, you
else.
know what? I may have heard it on the podcast. That might
That
have
might
been
be.
where it was. Anyways,
Yep, it's
sorry.
a famous story now. But no, yeah, so it was a con job. But basically, what happened was took the goldfish home, died within a week. I took over its care, but I didn't know what I was doing, and but I was like determined from then on. I was like,
Hmm.
I want to do this, but I want to do it right.
Yeah.
And so I like went to the library, got a bunch of books, and my dad ended up buying me like a 5-gallon fish tank, and we ended up doing like some goldfish in there, which again was not ideal, but I was learning, and they lived for a little while, like maybe a couple years, and then by the time I was my 13th birthday, I had received my first like whole setup that was like the 29-gallon tank with like the light, the filter,
You
everything, the
went from a
stand.
bowl to a 29-gallon?
Yeah.
Nice.
And actually, my talk about Danios stems from my experiences with some of my first fish in that tank. And it was that Danios, they'll breed like pretty readily. It's just a matter of having an eye for their fry. And then if you want to purposely breed them, it takes a little more effort. But anyway, I'll get into that probably more in my talk. But yeah, I was pretty much self-taught. Nobody else in my family kept fish. We had a few fish tanks when I was growing up that were not. It was like a goldfish in a 10-gallon and like a pleco.
Right.
you know.
The old
Um,
classic setup.
yeah. But then I when it really took off for me was when I got in one of my first issues of Tropical Fish Hobbyist, and in the very back of that, um, every issue there's a directory of clubs. Um,
Okay, cool.
And so right around when I was like 14 years old, I had seen an ad for the clubs that were in Michigan. So I'm from Michigan. I'm currently living in Michigan as well.
Which part?
Um, middle, smack dab in the middle. I'm right by
Nice.
Lansing area, capital. Um, but yeah, I found the listing for Southwestern Michigan Aquarium Society, SWAMAs. And I guess what happened was I looked up the website online, dial up,
Yeah.
found the information, found the details, found where they're meeting. It was happening. It was like, oh, it's going to be like this Friday,
Mhm.
and like logged off the internet, like got off the internet,
Yeah.
called up my dad. Can I go? And I was so excited.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and he took me, and I guess the rest is history. I got like bags of fish for like $2, and people were
Oh,
showing up, and
it's a
like
it's a magical feeling when you're like, "Wow, people here don't value fish at all." No.
I really later realized it was probably because I was a kid, and
Yeah, no one wants to bid against you.
no.
Yeah, it's a good thing they didn't. Look at you now. All right. So you kind of told us a little bit about Danios and that like you had success breeding. What was that like kind of like the first time you? Because I remember when I first noticed there was a baby fish in my tank. I think it was a Corydora, and
Oh, wow.
I was just a teenager and I just had Corys in my tank and I just noticed like there was one very, very small Corydora and I'm like, I didn't I didn't put that in there. I had no idea that breeding fish was a thing. It was just kind of like this watershed, mind-blowing thing for me. So I guess what was that like for you?
Uh, I can actually remember the very moment that I saw my first danio fry, and it was so funny because I was one of those kids who was like, "Is that an egg?" Or those people who are just like, is this a fish egg?" You know, it's like a bubble. It's like
Right.
it's like,
Oh, that's
"Ah,
awesome. So you were
is
looking for it then,
is
huh?
this like" oh, well, I was staring very intently, but
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was looking for at the
Mhm.
time. I just was always looking, and I think one day I turned the lights on and I noticed this little black sliver on the side of the glass, and it was just stuck to the side of the glass. And I like kind of squinted at it, and I'm like, "That's is that dirt? Is that like a piece of is that what is that?" And like as I was looking at it, one of the female danios. So I started with zebra danios,
Right.
which are ubiquitous in the hobby, and they are by far one of the easiest to breed.
Oh,
Um,
and they're bulletproof too. My goodness.
they're great fish.
An
They're
awesome fish. Yeah.
great fish. Been
They're
around forever.
other honestly, they're kind of underrated as far as like their beauty. Like they're the stripes on them are anyways.
Yeah, but anyways, a female came up, snapped it off the glass, and I realized I wasn't seeing things, I was something. And I
Yeah.
for some reason, I was like, "That was a baby." It was a that was
Well,
a baby. And,
yeah.
and
Well,
yeah.
and it's so interesting to me. There's just something that's like in humans that you're like, because like I don't know a single. I haven't talked to any fish keepers yet that like can't remember the first time they bred a fish, and it's for some reason it just sticks in your mind very vividly, and it's because there's just this
Yeah.
kind of this really beautiful primal like whoa
It's like
new
the
life.
coming to the light
I didn't put
experience.
that in there, but I made that happen. That's so
Yes.
cool. Yeah. So guys, if you are here, we've got 27. Wow, 27. This is a well populated speaker right here. 28. Oh, we're climbing. Guys, if you are here and you are with us live, please go ahead and in the chat, in the live chat, you just have to sign into Facebook. In the live chat, go ahead and type your questions, and then I can show them up on the screen like this. Oops, that's the wrong one. Um, and so, John Cox, thank you. Please bump the thumbs up for us. If you guys are also signed in, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. That would it's a way that you can kind of help us as a channel grow and reach more people with awesome fish keeping and fish keepers like Heather. And it doesn't cost you a thing. So hit the subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and then please go ahead and ask your questions here in the chat. So going forwards with your fish keeping, you you kind of became you did you go to college or did you go move like when did you move away from home, I guess is the better way to ask
So
it.
I was actually the crazy fish kid in school.
In high
I
school or in like college
Middle
too?
school, and then
Oh,
high school, and then college, and then here I am.
it's just been a
Uh,
core part
and,
of your
you know,
identity ever
it's
ever.
been a core yeah, so it actually, it influenced my career, it influenced my schooling.
Hmm.
Um, I knew, basically once aquariums were in my life that they were never ever gonna be far. I was always gonna come back to them. There was a brief period, freshman year in college, you have to, like, move and get rid of things, and,
It's true.
uh but, like, I was the crazy kid that was, like, bringing danio fry to school. I'm like, "Look at these, they're so cool," and people were like, "What the hell are you doing with that? Like, what is this?" And,
Yeah.
but no, I went to MSU for fisheries and wildlife,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and, it graduated, 2016, and I've held a number of fish-related jobs, all of them. I've had, like, about 4 jobs since then. I've kind of been all over the place, but, everything has been, aquatics and specifically fish.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So I just
So
yeah.
you've are Dania's your favorite, or is that just what you enjoy talking about?
Uh, Yes.
Because I know like favorites kind of come and go, so it's kind of like a loaded question.
I'm a generalist in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I love all fish, pretty much all fish. I've
Like
kept
African
and
cyclids.
bred
Ugh, just kidding.
I've kept and bred a variety of species, everything from cichlids, gobies. Um, I've done not a lot of catfish, but I've done like a lot of egg scattering, barbs, danios, um, labyrinth fish. So I've been all over the place with fish. But danios, because they were not actually my first spawn. I had a platy drop some babies. I had some mollies drop some babies like literally the day after I bought it. And it was like the
Oh,
first
that's
fish in the
nice.
tank. The first fish in the tank, and my dad
Now
actually
you
sent me
have
messages.
30.
And
Yay!
no, well, there weren't. I don't know. There weren't that many. There were maybe like 7.
Sure.
None of them survived. I don't think the tank was cycled. It was like right away,
Mm,
and they were probably sick and whatever. It was
yeah,
Petco, or just cheap dollar fish that
right.
we're not quarantined. Um, but uh, Danios were the first egg scattering fish, and I've kind of come back to them a lot over the years, and my very favorite fish is celestial pearl danio.
Yay! It's like my top 5.
Top 5,
Oh,
yeah.
I love those fish. The
They're
other
pretty
one that
good.
I have really Oh, sorry, I confused myself. I was like, "What's going on?" I had the YouTube stream going, and I was like, "Why is she talking over me right now?" No, wait, she just said this 5 seconds ago.
Mhm.
Anyways, sorry guys. That was a self difficulty, not a technical difficulty. Um, so I really enjoy the glow light danios.
Yes.
I think those are gorgeous fish. There's something about them, little subtle stripes, the orange stripe.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Those are ones I've bred, and I love them. I've done them a few times, and
I'm looking forward to getting mine to breed. Fingers crossed. I've had moderate luck with egg scatterers. We got our first question coming in. Ray Aquatics wants to know, what do you breed now?
what do I breed now? It's a good question. Uh, Over the years, I in a couple of moves I've done, I think I was most active breeding fish around 2014, 2016, and then when I graduated college and then moved, I hadn't really been as active for a few years. I just was not able to really maintain a lot of aquariums while living with my mom and working in Ann Arbor and doing things like that.
Mm,
Um, so I'm actually at a point now where I'm back to breeding fish. I went through a couple year hiatus. I've always been sort of breeding them at work. Like when I was working in the zebra danio lab, I was breeding them at zebra danios. But right now, it's just some bread and butter stuff just to get myself sort of back in the game. I've been breeding cribs a lot. I albino koi guppies. I've got a bunch of those going. I did some Coptodon species, so like a tilapia type fish.
nice.
Um, they're not hot sellers by any means, but it's cool to have the
No.
fry and do something. Yeah, I got BAP points for them. I'm
Right.
up to
Oh yeah, the
yeah.
BAP. And for those of you who may not know, BAP is a Breeders' Award Program. And so a lot of your local fish clubs, if you're not involved with one, definitely look to see if you have one near you. And if you don't, consider starting one. But they have a breeders award program where you can breed a fish and then turn in the fry or sometimes the parents for award points. And then you kind of rank up in like recognition of your breeding skills.
But
Uh, sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
I was gonna add to that. I am
Yeah.
breeding fish at work currently, which is
Ooh.
yes, and we're doing some cool stuff. Not
Paid
necessarily.
to breed. That's actual breeding for profit, people.
Yes, I got about 8 species of aquatic animals going. We have
Nice.
what I'm really excited about is we have some Pipa parva, which are like a dwarf aquatic frog. We've got babies of those that I've been raising. But for fish related, I've got CPDs going. So happy to work with those like
Ah,
professionally. Like it's like a dream. It's awesome. I love
Hypoparva
them.
is the Suriname toad.
Yep.
Okay, I'm googling that right now. Okay, cool. And then you said
um,
you're reading CPDs at work
CPDs.
too?
I'm doing some
There's some Pipoparva
uh,
guys.
multifasciatus, neolamprologus, just setting up a few colonies of those and doing like some Endler guppies and some Nigerian red
Got
cribs.
quite a few projects going on.
Pistogramma hongsloi, some red ones.
Nice. Have you had success with those?
Yes.
Good.
I
My
have.
pair is ugh, they stink. They're bad parents.
Yeah. I let the female raise them for a while. The female from my first spawn died, but the male carried on. He was separate the whole time, and the
Mhm.
babies by then were like weaned, so to speak. They were free
Right.
swimming, doing their own thing. And I've raised and they're pairing off now, and um, great fish. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
it's
beautiful.
dwarf cichlids I've definitely had issues with over the years.
Yeah. Let's keep moving. Let's see.
Yes,
Senor Sardonico says Danio Chopre are awesome. Those are the glow light
the
Danios.
glow
Thank you
lights,
for
yep,
that name.
Chopra Danios.
That name. Rico Stan says, love CPDs too. Getting ready to try and breed some. If you are trying to breed some, definitely tune in next week, 7:30. She's gonna be talking, breaking down. And I'm sure she's
I'll tell
probably
you
you're
all
gonna cover
about it.
CPDs, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
I got a few slides. We're gonna
awesome.
talk about how to do it.
Awesome. Facebook user, sorry we don't get your name. If you're messaging in from Facebook, it doesn't tell us your name. Unfortunately, it looks like this. You have to like go through a process of giving StreamYard permission. But if you could just want to tag your name at the end, like dash Jake Harris, then I'll know who it's coming from. She says, great job, or he, sorry, it person says, great job, Jake. You're welcome. Thank Heather. What is the difference between Danios versus giant Danios?
It's entirely the genus, and they're all Danios. They're actually um they're all considered like Danionins. Uh they the giant Danios are Divario, and then the Danios are anything from um usually Danio or Brachydanio.
Okay. We've got a message from Senor Sardonico, and I'm not sure if he's responding to someone else in the chat or if he's asking you, but he wants to know, did you ever breed the Pseudomos
Ooh, that's like my
venustai
second favorite
maybe?
fish.
So
Pseudosphrominus dei,
there
the
you go, that one.
spike tail paradise fish.
Did you get some from Senor Sardonico, maybe?
Don't remember. I did breed them years ago. I think I bred them originally. I think I got them from a pet store. I did buy some, and unfortunately, there was a massive ice storm, and I think I bought some on Aquabid, and they survived the ice storm because I brought them to the pet store that I worked at, and then I brought them home after like a few weeks after I got all my tanks up and running again, and everything's like that. It was literally like a week of no power, and it was during
Oof.
dead of winter in Michigan,
Ooh.
and yeah, it was freezing. Um, and so yeah, beautiful fish. I love them. They are kind of a brown color, but very subdued, but pretty, and they breathe like rabbits. And they're the only problem I had with them is they jump, and
Oh,
so I got them to survive the ice storm, and I brought them home, and I overlooked this little gap in the back of the tank. I thought, oh, this is great. I'll breed these. They survived. I still have them going. I'm going to keep working with them.
ugh.
And they like literally within like an hour were all on the floor, dried up. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, that feels so
really?
bad.
I
Yeah.
would love to get more of them. If
You
this
got
person
really beautiful
still,
finish
if this
too.
person still has them, let me know. I would love to try again.
Yeah. Let's see. Going down. Um, Heather worked in a research Danio lab? Question mark. I know they do a lot of research on zebras. Yep, it was a zebra Danio lab.
Yep.
You were telling me in the pre-lobby, kind of some of the stuff that you did. If you want to kind of go through like the
Yeah.
some of the things that you did for them.
So I worked for genetics. It was genetics research lab. It was they'd work with mutant strains. So most labs work with mutant strains of zebra danio. So they look outwardly, a lot of the strains look like just your average zebra danio, but they have altered genetics. Um, I didn't do too much in terms of like analyzing that. I did do some fin clips and some PCR work to try to confirm some genetics on some of the individual fish. Um, Most of what I did was I maintained the colonies and I made sure everything was like labeled and communicated. And if this fish was like too old, I euthanized it. Things like I maintained the colony and I raised the fry and kept everything, tidy.
Nice. Um, and oh, tell them how you ended up getting the job. I think that's interesting.
I got it through an aquarium society actually. I think it was the Motor City one in Detroit. Like my the person who ended up being my boss, the guy who ran the lab, the PI, um he reached out. Like he specifically wanted a fish hobbyist to run his lab.
Smart.
Um, it was a wonderful job, and but yeah, it was funny because like I saw it was an email, and they're just like, yeah, reach out to this person. They're hiring, and I think I just like shot him an email and was like, I'm interested. I don't even remember if I sent a resume. I don't know. I don't remember. I think I must have. This was a little while. My memory's not great, but
Nice.
basically, I showed up in Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan. I show up at this lab, and I sort of do like an in-person interview, and I get a little tour, and then he's basically like, "Yeah, you're probably gonna get the job as a formality. I have to interview other people. You probably should put an application in though, like
Awesome.
also as a formality."
Awesome.
So I hadn't even applied, and they were like, "Yep."
Facebook user wants to know what is the average size tank that you use for breeding?
The average size tank I use is a 10-gallon. I work with a lot of nano, smaller species. Um, I go up to like a 20 long sometimes. Those are my two favorite sizes, although I've used as small as like a 5. And actually, I bred danio chopra in a 2.5-gallon tank,
I mean, they're small fish. Yeah.
but it was like a bow front, so it was like a different it wasn't
Oh,
like
bow
a
for
little
two and a
rec.
half.
Yep.
Was it like one of those beta tank type of things?
Mhm. Like a
Oh,
little mini bow, and then I
nice.
just yeah.
Very cool. Let's see. Facebook user wants to know, do you like any particular brand of commercial fish food?
Hmm.
So what do you feed fish?
Oh, geez. I actually have not developed a specific. I have some that I like better than others. Uh, I like a lot of like for my guppies and stuff. I like to use like the guppy Hikari food. I use that a lot. I use Cobalt. Actually, I do like their food because they have probiotics. They have this new line of foods that are supposed to be like more fresh ingredients and
Okay,
um, they're a little more expensive, but I've been using their Smartemia, which is like a Artemia mimicking powder dry food.
cool.
Uh, with fry, I love golden pearls, pretty much of any brand.
Yep.
But I mean, I do feed a lot of blackworms and microworms and live foods like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of commercial fish food, I'm kind of all over the map. I will
It's kind of whatever you can get your hands on.
I like variety. I like to get a bunch of different things.
Yeah. Yep, I'm with you. Let's see. Travis Brooks. Yes, similar question. Travis Brooks, can you talk a bit about what foods you're feeding the fry to adults stage, like from fry to
Okay.
adults?
The raising stage for
Yes.
okay. And that does that varies so much.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm working with a lot of fry right now, and a lot of my egg scattering, very small, maybe um, labyrinth fish like bubble nesting fish, things like that.
I said let's do a brief answer to this because you are going to cover a lot of this in your
Yes.
talk.
Okay. I actually don't use a lot of live foods for the first initial foods. I like I said, I love golden pearls.
Hmm.
I love Sarah Micron makes a really great fry food.
Glad to hear that because I like that food too.
Well, it's called Sarah. It's Sarah the brand, but Micron.
Right.
It's great food.
Yeah.
We use it a lot with our tadpoles too.
Oh,
Ooh.
at
At Josh's Frogs.
hashtag Josh's Frogs,
Yes.
hashtag not sponsored.
Nope.
All right. Going down the list. Gary says hi. Hi, Gary. Hello, Jeff. Um, doo-doo-doo. Mickey M. Following up with her question from earlier, I know of a project in Karolinska Institute with Cyprinids here in Stockholm a few years ago. Cool. Do you know what kind of work they were doing? Go ahead and put that in the chat if you do. Going down. Man, there's the active. The chat's very active today.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's trying. It's hard to. They're active. There's lots of conversations going on. They're talking to each other more than they're talking to us.
Oh
So it's hard to
no,
sort
I
through it
think
all.
I hope they're being nice.
Oh yes, no, it's all
Good.
pleasant. Thankfully, we haven't had to boot anybody, but I'm ready
Good.
to if I need to.
Talk about fish. Talk about
Hmm.
fish all the time.
All right. Classic question. Which head to come? LOL. What temp do you keep and breed your CPDs?
I really like 74 to 75.
Okay, cool. Do you actually heat their tanks, or you just kind of let them?
Back when I had like 60 fish tanks, I just heated the entire house, but it was also a very tiny house.
Yeah.
I kept it about 74 degrees, and then like year round. You know, in the summer it would peak a little bit because
That must have been expensive in Michigan. Keep it 74 in the winter? That's
it
hot.
was. I'm going to tell you right now, it was a very tiny house, but no,
Like,
I do in when it's too cold, I'll use a heater a lot of times. I found that CPDs don't really breed at like 68 or 70, like room temp.
okay, they need a little bit of warmth to them.
Mhm.
I had luck over the summer. I put them in a tub, and they did really well for me. Just kind of in a no filtration tub outdoors. Let's see. They're still talking. Mike Hale says, "Tell us more about Josh's
Oh
frogs."
my gosh. Oh
I'm
my
guessing, I'm guessing he works for you or with you. I mean,
God, that's my boyfriend.
oh, that's hilarious.
I think he's working overnight or he's in between shifts or something.
Oh, that's
Oh,
funny.
he's tuning in. Yeah.
I
Uh,
mean, you did get one shout out here from Evan. Evan says, "Josh's Frogs is a great brand in my humble opinion."
it is. It is. And yeah, hi Evan. That's definitely you know, slightly biased, but it is a great company. You should check it out. We are actually uh we're expanding into aquatics in the near future. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk too much on that, but Josh's Frogs.
You can give him a
Uh,
quick plug.
yeah, we'll do a quick little plug. So I do work for Josh's Frogs, and the company itself is all homegrown dart frogs, tree frogs, toads, reptiles like micro geckos and leopard geckos, and a lot of insects and tarantulas. And they do a lot of live plants for vivariums, and if you keep anything in a glass box, you're gonna love Josh's Frogs.
Nice. Let's see. We're winding down here in the chat, and we're almost at the 30-minute mark. So Kent's Fish wants to know, baby brine shrimp? And the answer is yes.
Yes, I, baby brain shrimp.
Thanks, Kent.
I do. If the question was, do I feed baby brine shrimp to my fish at work heavily and for breeding purposes? Yes, but
Yes, it's one of the best foods,
it's
honestly.
fun. Yes, it's awesome.
All right. Everyone else is just kind of catching up here in the chat. Mickey's following up again, says, can't remember the exact project. Knew a guy doing research on guppies plus killies, mentioning it at the time. So, mystery not solved. Um, all right. So before I let you go, rapid fire questions. Dogs or cats?
Cats,
Now, reptiles or birds?
reptiles.
Okay. Okay. Cats or birds? Or cats or reptiles, I mean.
That's a tough one. I guess my previous cat was a reptile murdering machine, so I guess the
Oh,
cat.
wow.
Yeah, I love
Nice.
him.
Okay. So yeah, the cat got the
That
win on that
wins.
one.
Mm.
Yep. And then do you have like a favorite genre of food that you enjoy eating? Like Mexican,
Sweets,
Indian, sweets?
sweet ice cream,
Yeah, it is its own food group. It's
candy
true.
bars.
I gotta say, I'm a dog person. Here's
It's
mine.
your dog. I was warned by Gary that you would not appreciate my cat
Yeah.
clan
Well, what I've
membership.
noticed is a lot of our speakers have been cat people. There's
Yeah?
something about being good at fish keeping, keeping cats. But this guy he's terrible. I love him, but he's terrible. And I got another bigger one over there, and she's also terrible. But I love her too. Anyways, let's not dawdle too much longer. The last and most important question, I suppose, I would have to be after you blow your nose, do you look?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's all we need to know. Thanks, guys. We will see you all next Thursday, 7:30. Make sure that you are there. She's going to be giving all sorts of amazing advice, tips. She'll be answering questions afterwards as well, I'm sure. So if you guys didn't get your question answered or you think of a new one during the talk, put it in the chat at the end, and I will get to it. And we'll do it just similar to what this was today, except focused on her talk, not just kind of anything. All right, Heather, thank you so much for joining us. And guys, like, subscribe, and I will catch you all next week. Bye.